reaction to leadership not whipping against you in this vote? Mr. Emmer said that his team will not be whipping against.
Look, you all want a soundbite. This is the third time we're going through this. I don't care. I was sent here by the people of the 3rd District of New York. I represent them, not the political class in Washington, D.C. If they want to send me home, if they think this was a fair process, if they think this is how it should be done, and if they're confident that this is a constitutional way of doing it, God bless their hearts.
Is it inevitable?
George Santos is so fed up with the potential consequences of his fraudulent actions that he didn't even really hear that there's a slight bit of good news for him there, as leadership did not whip votes in favor of his expulsion. But how about that soundbite that he promised everyone?
Have you spoken to your colleagues to get their support?
No, I've never done it. This is the 3rd time we've gone through this. I didn't do it the first time. I didn't do it the second time. Not going to do it the 3rd time.
Why not whip some votes? Why not ask people?
It's not a good use of my time. Do you know what's a good use of all of our time? Is fixing the massive inflation in this country, is fixing the issues we have in our border. I went to San Diego last week. It is terrible, terrible. That's what we should be putting our energy on, not on censuring one another, expelling one another, witch hunts against the political class. Nobody cares. If this building, if this city put the effort to fixing our country the same way that they put on expelling me, we'd be in a better place. But this place is littered in political theater, and the American people are the ones paying the price. Thank you.
Soundbite given. But what will it do to convince his fellow members of Congress? You know, he went with this political theater argument before, which is usually reserved for the opposing party's plans. But this 3rd vote was triggered by Republican Representative Anthony D'Esposito. So with no political theater argument there, Santos Claus took his red suit to the floor to plead his case in a different way.
Madam Speaker, on the matter of expulsion, in history, 5 members of Congress have been expelled. All 5 had suffered convictions in a court. All 5 had due process. This expulsion vote simply undermines and underscores the precedent that we've had in this chamber. It starts and puts us in a new direction, a dangerous one that sets a very dangerous precedent for the future. Are we to now assume that one is no longer innocent until proven guilty, and they are in fact guilty until proven innocent? Or are we now to simply assume that because somebody doesn't like you, they get to throw you out of your job? Or better more, does the Constitution bear no consequence, where a duly elected member of the House of Representatives is elected by the general public, but then a couple of politicians decide that they don't like that person? Madam Speaker, I think we can all agree that due process matters and that we should all be very concerned about the way that we are conducting this process. I will not be resigning. And with that, I yield back the balance of my time.
George Santos is arguing in front of his Republican colleagues in the House that he doesn't understand how they can vote to oust a member from their position, seemingly because a few people just don't like him. Either he missed the last couple of months in the chamber, or he should have a meeting with former Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy to see how he feels about that unprecedented vote that snatched the gavel from his hand, simply because several fellow Republicans didn't like him either. So what does this new Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, who directly benefited from McCarthy's misfortune, think about possibly losing Santos?
I said that the Republican Party is the rule of law team, and we are. We believe in the rule of law. There are people of good faith who make an argument, both pro and con, for the expulsion resolution for Santos. There are people who say you have to uphold the rule of law and allow for someone to be convicted in a criminal court before this tough penalty would be exacted on someone. That's been the precedent so far. There are others who say, well, upholding the rule of law requires us to take this step now because some of the things that he's alleged to have done, the House Ethics Committee having done their job, are infractions against the House itself. And so what we've said as the leadership team is we're going to allow people to vote their conscience. I think it's the only appropriate thing we can do. We've not whipped the vote, and we wouldn't. I trust that people will make that decision thoughtfully and in good faith. I personally have real reservations about doing this. I'm concerned about a precedent that may be set for that.
He's not whipping votes for or against Santos. He's just telling reporters with a bunch of cameras pointed at him that as Speaker of the House, he has some serious reservations about it. But go ahead, everyone. Vote your conscience. It's an opinion that he's already shared with Sean Hannity's audience over a month ago, with added reasons why. And due process ended up being the second most pressing reason from this principled speaker.
Here's the reality, Sean. We have a 4-seat majority in the House. It is possible that that number may be reduced even more in the coming weeks and months, and so we'll have what may be the most razor-thin majority in the history of the Congress. We have no margin for error, and so George Santos is due process, right? He is. My understanding is I think he's appearing in a federal court tomorrow. And we have to allow due process to play itself out. That's what our system of justice is for.
He's not convicted. He's charged.
Not convicted. He's charged. And so if we're going to expel people from Congress just because they're charged with a crime, then, or accused, that's a problem.